Welcome to a TRE session. This is a very long one that I've shortened substantially. This is probably my longest session I've ever done. It was about an hour total. And here I am starting off with good, healthy movements. You notice they're not very tremory, they're more like wiggly. And here we're speeding up. So oftentimes the tremors are going to be more wiggly, more snake-like for some of us, depending on our bodies, than they would be vibrating or shaking. So at times there'll be more shaking, depending on a person's body, and then typically if it's an area that's relatively new to being tremored, you'll get more shaking, and then as the shaking happens, as that tension is dispersed over time, over days, weeks, maybe months, there'll be more of a transition to a snake-like movement. And then ultimately it'll become more and more and more subtle, and people at the end stage of TRE tend to describe it like David Berceli, the creator of the modality, describes his experience as a pleasurable sensation of energy, just moving, titillating throughout the body. So we can see the sensations get finer and finer. At first, the tremors are breaking up chunks. That's not literal, of course, but that's a good way to think about it. And to break up chunks of ice, you need a big hammer. You need strength, you don't need dexterity, you don't need fine control. It's not a subtle movement. And so that's where someone's body can kind of look like, pretty vigorous in the movements. I'll just say here you see my shoulders moving, so I'm putting a lot of my attention and throughout this whole session just in this area of my deltoids, the back of my shoulders, the traps, the muscles around the scapula, and that's why I go so long. I would never recommend going that long, even for me, and I've been doing this for a while. I would never go this long. Like I mentioned, this session went an hour in real time. If I was doing more vigorous tremors than this, but because it was contained to just a small part of my body, it's much, we could say, safer, or there's just much less impact on dysregulation. Just like if you go to the gym and you just do bicep curls, even if you do a ton of sets, your biceps will be very sore, but you're not going to be completely fatigued like if you went and did your whole body for the same number of sets. So as we progress in the journey, we start to put attention on certain parts more than others, and I actually recommend, if you're early in your journey, if you're still getting the hang of the TRE, I advise against focusing on certain areas. And here I lift my legs up just to see what would happen here. Not much changed. I decided to try it though. I never do this, and I'll probably try it again in the future. So if you're in the earlier stages of your TRE journey, it's best to allow the body to process what it chooses in the order it chooses. When we start getting involved with our attention, focusing on different spots, then some people have the experience of, in a way, opening up parts of the body out of order. And what I mean by that is that I know one very well-known user on the Reddit forum, long-term TRE, he did a lot with his head and neck early in his journey. He put a lot of attention on that, and so those parts tremored. And he ended up having massive headaches and I think some other physical issues for a while. his body wasn't guiding him there, he was guiding it there. He was guiding the tremor there because he was skilled enough with his attention through his spiritual practice previously to be able to guide his attention very adeptly, and that was actually an issue for him. So in a way, there's a benefit to not being super experienced with meditation before doing TRE. So if that's you, if you're not that experienced with meditation or attention training, well, that can save you getting yourself into some trouble, really. Just letting the body do what it does. It has its intelligence, and it has a way of guiding itself through the jungle of our tension, our trauma, unwinding the areas of fascia that are ready to be unwound. And it's not our responsibility to make sense of that. Our responsibility is to surrender. And here I had taken off my headphones earlier in the session. It just felt right. And there was some noise outside though, and I was so sensitive at this point in the session that I had to cover my ears. So our responsibility is to surrender to the body's lead, and also to care for our self-regulation, like I'm doing, with my hands blocking my ears a moment ago, deciding to put on the headphones again. And I get some tremors right away. That's interesting. The headphones probably brought about a layer of safety, and some tremors felt safe to come out. That's the benefit of the headphones. That's the benefit of creating an environment of safety, and that includes the people in your life. So I'd recommend, not exposing yourself to, well, certainly not toxic people or anything like that, to whatever degree you have to be exposed to toxic people, but even to not be exposed to certain stressful people after your sessions. And here I'm just in the winding down and integrating phase. And as usual, I hop into bed after my sessions, and I'm loving that process. Alright, that's it for today. I'm wishing you all really well in your practice.